Thank you for being here today. We are here. My name is Tony Delorio, Principal Officer of Teamsters Local 665. Before I begin, I want to kind of get the crowd or the audience warmed up. When I say Crews will, you say lose. Okay? Very simple. Ready? Crews will lose. Crews will lose. Crews will lose. Perfect. Okay, so why we're here today and why we chose today to be in front of Crews' headquarters is they just had the GM earnings report. And what we had just found out just minutes ago, they invested another $800 million in Crews. Okay? $800 million. Yeah. So this is the reason why they're cutting corners everywhere they go to get all over these city streets, because they may be possibly running out of money. It was interesting. The CEO of Crews, Kyle Voigt, was not allowed to speak today. He was not allowed to speak at the meeting, and all he's been doing is saying that that humans are terrible drivers. Okay, in every ad that you see, humans are terrible drivers. Well, guess what, Mr. Voigt? We've had a few incidents recently. Yeah. I got too many to list here today, but how about Outside Lands, the concert, when we had over a dozen Crews vehicles causing nothing but chaos all over the city? And what was their excuse? Oh, there was too many people. Their data was interrupting our data. Excuse me? So if there's a concert, we know they don't work in the city. Then we had an incident where we all knew this was coming, that a passenger was unfortunately hit by a Crews vehicle and stuck under there. It took our first responders several minutes to get there, but luckily got them out and everything was okay. But then the inevitable happened. And while the pedestrian was hit by a regular car, when the first responders got there, unfortunately they were blocked by two Crews vehicles. Took them several minutes to get by that area. And by the time they got to the hospital, unfortunately that pedestrian had passed away. So we asked the city of San Francisco, we have elected officials here today that are all behind us. And guess what? The state has to do something about this. San Francisco cannot be the guinea pigs for our community, right? Right. So, interesting enough, when the CPUC a couple of months ago let all of these cars run rampant all over the street, it only took a few days because of these incidents for DMV to roll them back by 50%. So it's 50% on the street, right? But we're not going to stop until they're 100% off the street, right? Right. Speaking of CPUC, one of the commissioners, his name is John Reynolds. And we're going to piecemeal this thing together. John Reynolds happens to have been the top attorney for Crews. So how interesting. One of the heads of the CPUC used to work for Crews. John Reynolds was appointed by Silicon Valley's favorite governor, Gavin Newsom, who, as everybody knows, vetoed our Teamster-sponsored bill, AB 316, which would have required a human operator to be in these driverless trucks. Now, last month, all these people behind us, we had labor, community, elected officials, thousands of us marched in Sacramento, went to the steps of the Capitol, and we urged the governor to sign our bill. And the complete slap in the face that he did, in a short 72 hours, he vetoed our bill. 72 hours, he vetoed our bill. And that's why he's taking, just like what Crews does, profits over people, okay? And so what we're here to tell you, Crews, Governor, we are not going to allow it. You may have the profits, you may have the money, but guess what? We have the people, we have the community, and we have the votes. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now, we have a nice program. First going to start off with a man that I was afraid wasn't going to show up today because of the 49ers losing, but he's here like a trooper. Supervisor in District 10, Shamal Walton, has been here for us every step of the way. Anytime we call upon him, he's there for us. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Supervisor Shamal Walton. Crews will! Lose! Crews will! Lose! Crews will! Lose!
We cannot have fake brains and fake intelligence on our streets. when we talk about Vision Zero, when we talk about keeping people safe, we need actual people behind the wheel with a pulse and a brain that know how to maneuver in sticky situations. These cruise vehicles are dangerous on our streets. When they see tragedy or see danger or there's an obstacle in their way, all they know how to do is freeze. That has caused many accidents. That has caused for our emergency vehicles not to be able to get to places where they can save lives. And we've seen that it has unfortunately led to tragedy and death. We need to, one, be able to control the vehicles that are on our street, but most importantly, we need to make sure that we have responsible human beings behind the wheel. And the only way to guarantee that that happens is to not have these vehicles, again, with fake brains on our street. So we're going to continue to make noise and let people know that we are serious about safety on our streets, that we are serious about making sure that people actually have jobs and that these vehicles are safe and safely operated. We cannot continue to have tragedies at the hands of machines. That is not something that we're going to tolerate in our city, and we're going to fight Cruise and fight all autonomous vehicle companies to the finish until we achieve our goal, and that's to make sure that we have responsible human beings with real intelligence behind the wheel so that our residents and our communities can be safe here in San Francisco. Cruise will! Yes. Cruise will! Yes. Cruise will! Yes. And we will keep fighting.
Please give another round of applause for our own Shaman Walton, Supervisor District 10. Before I introduce our next supervisor, who is also a warrior, not only for labor, but especially for the Teamsters, just want to quickly say, Cruise is not here for robo-taxis. Make no mistake about this. They are here for parcel delivery, and that threatens our jobs, right? And if you go on their website right now, they're not showing these little tiny cars going around. They're showing these big vehicles the size of UPS trucks that they want to piecemeal all over the city of San Francisco with their chargers everywhere so they can pick and take and deliver everywhere. These are jobs that are going to be raised to the bottom. There won't be a driver in these trucks. They won't have to pay the wages that we get, for instance, at UPS. They'll have somebody in the back while these things drive all over the streets and endanger our communities and our children. So Connie Chan, what she has done, and you guys will hear about this shortly in the next coming months, has put together legislation in the planning code that is going to prevent people like Cruise from being able to do parcel delivery. So that is huge. Please give her a round of applause for that alone. Her and her office is working tirelessly at it. So without further ado, District 1 Supervisor, she's also running. She's of course going to win because we're all behind her, Connie Chan.
Thank you. Well, let me just say that I am representing the Richmond. That's all the way on the west side of the city. And guess what? These driverless vehicles, that was the testing ground when it first started. They tested in the Richmond because Richmond was a quiet neighborhood. But guess what? We will not be quiet anymore. We're here. We're making noise. But most importantly, we're also here to try to tell and remind our governor where he comes from, because he forgot where he came from. He came from San Francisco, and he forgot that does San Francisco, so goes California. And we're here in San Francisco. We will utilize every legislative tools possible to tell Cruise and to tell all these driverless vehicles they are dangerous. We want them put people over robots. We do not want robots on our streets. It is clear to us that we know that at the end of the day, we are fighting for humanity. We're fighting for people, and this is the right thing to do. So here we are gathering together to remind our governor, our state legislature, and every voters in San Francisco that here we are, we're fighting for you against all these robots, that we need to stand united and make sure that in solidarity, we're fighting for the people. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Connie, please. Okay, our next speaker, who is going to be able to give it to you firsthand. We talked already plenty of times. We've dropped the word first responders, right? We have a representative here from Firefighter 798, Adam Wood. Please welcome Adam Wood.
Thanks, everyone. Crews will lose. Crews will lose. All right. So at the shareholders meeting of GM, in addition to reporting the additional funding they're going to put into this cruise program, they announced that they're going to be expanding this program into 15 other cities. Ooh. Yeah. So I want you to know that San Francisco firefighters are going to be speaking to the firefighters in every one of those 15 cities and let them know what to expect and what we've experienced here in San Francisco. We're going to tell them to get ready for cruise vehicles and other autonomous vehicles to park right on top of their uncharged hose lines when they're trying to put out a fire so that that hose becomes useless. We're going to tell them to get ready for these cars to park right in front of the firehouse apparatus doors as the engines are trying to leave the station, blocking them from responding to an emergency. We're going to tell them to get ready for these cars to drive right into the middle of a mass shooting and freeze, potentially with a passenger in the back. We're going to tell them to get ready for these cars to park between a fire engine and a burning car. All of these things that happened in San Francisco. This is an experiment that has failed. And despite what they've said about making changes and responding to the needs of our first responders and emergency responders, we've seen no changes. A Waymo vehicle froze in front of my station last week, preventing the engine from getting out and forcing the department to send a farther away engine to respond to an emergency. This experiment has failed. And we're going to make sure that message gets out to the emergency responders in every city where they try to continue to carry out this failed experiment. I just got off the phone this morning with the Secretary Treasurer of our international union, the International Association of Firefighters. He's standing right now in Los Angeles at a Teamsters rally at Waymo, carrying out the same message based on our experience. So we're going to continue to stand with you. These cars are not safe. The fix has not been made. We need to put safety first, and we need to put jobs first. Thank you.
Hey, I want a louder applause for our firefighters that protect each and every one of us. Thank you, Adam, for all you do, brother. Okay, our next speaker is a man that needs no introduction. Fellow colleague, I'm honored to work side by side with this individual every day. One of the most powerful Teamster leaders in the Bay Area. Make no mistake about it, there's more than behind his looks. He actually does very well at his job. You can laugh, that was a funny joke. We're not all asleep, wake up. Without further ado, Principal Officer of Teamsters Local 350, also the Recording Secretary of Teamsters Joint Council 7, John Bouchard. Good morning. Who are we? Teamsters! Who are we? Teamsters! Who are we? Teamsters!
All right, good morning. Thank you. As Tony said, I'm John Bouchard. I'm the Principal Officer of Teamsters Local 350, and we represent almost 900 garbage and recycling workers in San Francisco. So, robo-taxi companies, AV companies talk about San Francisco and the general public being safer and improving life for San Francisco. And my question is, improve life for who? Is it for us? No. Is it for the people that live and work in San Francisco? No. No. And the reality is, it's made living and working in San Francisco even harder. Yeah. There's more congestion, traffic is worse, public safety is worse, and as you just heard from Adam, emergency response is worse. It's making it difficult for firefighters and police to respond to emergencies. And as we know in San Francisco, garbage and recycling is already a dangerous and difficult job, and AVs are making it even more dangerous and even more difficult. They're blocking alleyways, they're blocking containers, they're blocking our trucks from being able to maneuver safely in San Francisco, and this is creating a big problem for working people in San Francisco. And I know that, and I know all you know, that job loss, less workers contributing to the local economy is a race to the bottom. And all it does is fatten the pockets of tech billionaires at the expense of working people. And we won't have that in San Francisco. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to someone who knows all too well just how big a problem these AVs have become in San Francisco. Quentin Booker is a member of our local Teamsters Local 350. He's also a member of our executive board, and he's a 25-year driver here in San Francisco. So I want to turn it over to Quentin Booker.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you guys can hear me? Okay, I had to press the button. I will open up with saying that he said Cruz will lose. Being a 25-year garbage truck driver here in the city, these are bullies. They're bullies that's constantly in the way of our trucks that service our customers here in San Francisco. I'm in the front loader department at my company. Every container that I lift up and dump, when I'm done, I have to set that container down and back out. It's been numerous occasions these cars will come directly behind the car and don't know what to do. Leaving me stuck, leaving them stuck. But I have not 15, 20, 30 minutes for them to figure it out. I have to get out of this container and get to my next customer. So I have to pull forward out of my direct zone of servicing the customer, release the container, back up as close as I can to this ignorant car, and then put the customer's containers back up. They are very unsafe. They're getting more unsafe. I have a street that I work on the weekend, Hugo Street. Multiple times by these smart vehicles, they say, these selfless driving vehicles, I have been blocked on this street. I have a customer at the end of the block, near the intersection. The vehicle coming the opposite direction will stop directly, come through the intersection and stop directly in front of my truck. I'm at the end of the block. I have to back out a whole block to get to the next block to service my customers because these vehicles will not move. How safe is that? You said that these cars are the way now that they're smarter than humans. Well, where are the humans that these cars are smarter than? Not here, not in San Francisco. Cruz, I beg you, do not have these self-driving vehicles on the San Francisco streets taking jobs, taking off tables of our families. They are not smart. They're absolutely ignorant. And the more that you have on the streets of San Francisco, I start work at midnight. They're there. They're saying that these are taxis. Yesterday I was off at 9:30 in the morning. That was my first time, my whole years of working here at the garbage company, ever seeing anyone in the back of these vehicles. First time ever. What kind of taxis are these? This is a clear setup to take over hard-working people's jobs here in San Francisco. And will we here accept this? No! Thank you. Cruz, we will not accept this.
All right.
Thank you, John Bouchard and Q. It's good to hear the perspective for a driver and a fellow Teamster that's on the streets every day going through this, right? So again, Cruz will lose. Cruz will lose. Cruz will lose. As you can see, we brought all the heavy hitters out today. The next person I'm going to introduce, man who needs no introduction. He has a lot of titles. I'll keep it to just the Secretary Treasurer of the San Francisco Building Trades. But before I hand it over, he is also a proud member of what?
Teamster 665.
That a boy. Ladies and gentlemen, Rudy Gonzalez.
I represent skilled and trained construction workers in 27 unions of San Francisco, and I'm here to say that Cruz has thrown us breadcrumbs because our members have been desperate for work in this city. We don't want their fucking breadcrumbs so long as it's causing a safety hazard to the citizens of this city. I'm also co-chair of the 26 public employee unions of the city and county of San Francisco. I see my brother Pete Wilson from the Transport Workers 250A. We were sold a bill of goods by tech billionaires as it relates to Uber and Lyft. Remember that? You remember they told us parking will be easier, the streets will be safer, the rider experience will be safer? We lived through that lie, we lived through that failed experiment. They are out. They, being Cruz and Waymo and other scofflaws, are out to decimate public services. They're already jeopardizing public safety. It should be a given. We should understand that they are out to replace public transit. We are in a very fragile time in an economic recovery scenario for this city.
And so politicians, well, some politicians, not people like Connie Chan, that's for damn sure, she stands with workers, but some politicians are eager for the next new shiny, sexy thing. So they can try to, beat back their own self-manufactured doom loop and their shitty press hits because they're too busy at room 200 kicking each other in the teeth instead of taking care of working class people that got them elected in the first place. Now, you might say that Rudy guy from the construction union sounds pissed off. I am pissed off because the reports I get from the field aren't from truckers. They're from people in the neighborhoods that we recruit and train as apprentices, and they get good jobs in construction. And some of those good jobs are represented by the laborers union. You might drive by one of them when you go down. There's a ready-mix truck right down the road here, and you'll see somebody standing out in the street, flagging. And their job is to protect the other construction workers. Well, I'm here to tell you, these fucking automated cars drive right into our construction scenes. As if our jobs weren't dangerous enough. As if it wasn't already the most dangerous industry next to sanitation drivers in the entire country. Now we have to deal with and contend with some tech kid who coded for a possibility or a hypothetical. You can't code for human instinct. You can't code for morality. You can't code for a ready-mix driver that knows if there's a stalled minivan in the middle of the street, they may have to ditch the rig if their brakes fail. They may have to choose their life over the lives of a family in a stalled vehicle on the highway. This is completely unacceptable, and it's really why the Democratic Party is starting to lose ground and lose momentum with working class people. So I would appeal to Democrats all over this city to take a stand for humans, take a stand for good jobs, and understand that this is affecting us in every industry. It's not just drivers. We just saw the writers take a massive historic strike over what? Over AI. Over the right to actually have and produce and enjoy some of the wealth that's created out of your labor. This is fundamental to our society. We stand with the Teamsters. They are one of the 14 national unions of the building trades, and we will stand with you in San Francisco and across the country, and we appreciate your leadership, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. And again, that might clarify for some folks who always ask if we're a part of the building trades. Absolutely, we are. We lay the cement, right, Hannah Barry? That's it. All right. So one more speaker, and sometimes we say the best for last. Okay, we got Kim Tavaloni, who is the executive director of the San Francisco Labor Council. Now, before I let her speak, I just want to know one thing, and Rudy hit on it just a little bit. Cruise and Waymo have mostly Cruise, have kind of tried to split hairs between unions and say, oh shit, we can't be successful in San Francisco unless we unionize. Well, for folks that don't know, they screwed over the Teamsters at the state capitol when they said they were going to sit on the sidelines, and they openly opposed AB 316 at the Senate floor, right? And so they knew they screwed up at that moment. They knew they screwed up with the Teamsters. And then they went and tried to just offer little, as Rudy said, crumbs to a couple different unions to entice so that they can wave the union flag in San Francisco and say, oh, look, we're a union. 0.00001% of our workers in our organization is unionized. So this all is a test to Kim, who stood by us during this, because she had to fight with both sides, and there were some labor disputes over this. And as you can see, she's standing here right now, and she's been with us from the start. Please give a round of applause for Kim Tavaloni from the San Francisco Labor Council.
Thank you, Tony. This is about San Francisco. San Francisco has always been about its people, its working people. You think about the neighborhoods, how they were built. It was by working families. Working families deserve a place in this city, and AI and these cruise mobiles threaten that. They threaten the very fabric of what San Francisco is, has been, and will be forever. Working families make up our neighborhoods. These cruise mobiles threaten it. They threaten the safety of our families. They threaten the children. They threaten our pets. San Francisco, there's no room for it. Our safety comes first. And if somebody's going to tell you that these things are safe, we have the track record. We know that they're not safe. They threaten our working families. They threaten our jobs. They threaten our very economy. Who are they building San Francisco for? Not for working families. If they're taking away our jobs, they're taking away our communities. Don't let these AI companies ruin our city. Our city was built by us. We're going to stay here and we're going to fight for our city because working families make San Francisco great. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Kim. That's the first speech she didn't swear. Kind of disappointing in that part. Okay, everybody has spoke. Maybe at the end we could get one big group picture, but I can't leave without a chant. Going against John's wishes, I want to do it 5 times, and I promise that we will leave it alone. Cruz will lose. Cruz will lose. Louder. Cruz will lose.